Rekluse will now show you how to install the Core EXP auto clutch for the KTM and Husqvarna 85 and 105 models. We will begin with the prep and disassembly phase. For an easier, quicker installation, lay the bike on its left side. Start off by soaking the EXP disc in oil for at least 5 minutes. Remove the clutch cover. Watch out for copper washers and make a note on where they come from. Remove the OEM gasket. If this is damaged in any way, replace with a new OEM gasket. Completely loosen the pressure plate bolts. Most of the time you can remove the entire pressure plate assembly and most of the clutch pack all at once. Immediately inspect the backside of the pressure plate for any stuck throwout washers. Keep any washers in their OEM location on the throwout. Remove the throwout assembly. To remove the center clutch, bend the tabs down on the tab lock washer using a hammer and punch. Remove the center clutch nut. Using air here is okay, but do not use air when tightening the center clutch nut, as it can easily become over-torqued and cause constant clutch drag. The OEM center clutch nut and tab lock washer will be reinstalled with the Rekluse Core EXP clutch kit. Remove the center clutch and immediately inspect the backside for a stuck thrust washer. This must remain in the OEM location within the clutch basket. We're now ready for the installation phase. Install the Rekluse center clutch hub, indexing the splines on the main shaft. Put the OEM tab lock washer back on, ensuring that the locating tab is placed within the machined pocket on the center clutch. Thread the OEM center clutch nut onto the main shaft and torque to 40 foot-pounds. Rekluse tech tip. If you have problems with the clutch spinning, you can place the transmission in top gear and hold the rear brake while tightening the center clutch nut. Using channel lock pliers, bend the tabs back up against the center clutch nut. Reinstall the OEM throwout assembly. Separate the OEM frictions from the OEM drive plates. You will reuse all but one OEM friction and none of the OEM drive plates. If your OEM frictions are worn or damaged, replace with new OEM frictions before proceeding. Begin the clutch pack installation starting with a Rekluse steel drive plate. Follow this with an OEM friction. Continue this alternating pattern until you have 7 steel drive plates and 6 friction discs installed. Place the Rekluse EXP disc on top of the last drive plate. This can go in on either side, there is no top or bottom. Be sure to index the tabs into the same basket slots that the friction discs are indexed into. It is normal for the EXP disc to stick halfway above the basket tangs. Place the steel lining plate onto the underside of the Rekluse pressure plate, indexing the rectangular tabs into the machined slots. Flip the pressure plate over and set it into the center clutch hub, aligning the spring holes with the standoffs inside the center clutch hub. Place the Rekluse pressure plate springs and bolts into the pressure plate, and thread them into the center clutch hub standoffs. Torque the bolts to 9 foot-pounds. Reinstall the OEM gasket, ensuring it is not damaged. Install the Rekluse clutch cover for proper clearance. Reinstall the OEM cover bolts and torque to OEM spec. At this point, we're ready for the adjustable slave cylinder install phase. Swap the bike to the left side and stand it upright on a suitable bike stand. Remove the dust boot from the OEM slave cylinder. Remove the dust cap from the bleeder bolt. Loosen and remove the bleeder bolt. Remove the clutch line from the OEM slave cylinder. Remove the bolts that attach the slave cylinder. The case guard can be rotated up out of the way. Sometimes the slave cylinder can be a little stuck, and using a flat blade screwdriver can help break it free. Remove the OEM O-ring from the back side of the OEM slave cylinder. Place this O-ring onto the back side of the Rekluse adjustable slave cylinder. Ensure that the adjuster screw is backed out far enough to see the top O-ring, and use your thumbs to depress the piston on the backside. Pour clutch fluid into the slave cylinder port. Note, it is very important to check whether your clutch system uses mineral oil or DOT4 brake fluid. The top of your clutch reservoir cap should tell you which type to use. With a 4mm Allen wrench, turn the adjuster screw clockwise until it bottoms out, keeping the fluid topped off. Once it bottoms out, turn the screw back out counterclockwise until the top O-ring is visible again. Use your thumb to compress the piston again. Repeat this process until there aren't any air bubbles coming out and top it off with fluid. Check that the ball bearing is still in place. Place the Rekluse adjustable slave cylinder onto the bike. Secure the slave cylinder using the bolt for the case guard first. Tighten the slave cylinder bolts to OEM specification. Reattach the clutch line to the left slave cylinder port. Reattach the bleed bolt to the right side port. Push the dust cover back over the clutch line port. Remove the clutch fluid reservoir cap and bladder. If the fluid is low, top it off. Secure a suitable catch bottle on or near the bike. Push one end of the bleed tube over the bleed bolt. Before placing the other end of the bleed tube into the container, attach the closed end of a box wrench over the tube and onto the bleed bolt. Place the open end of the bleed tube into the catch bottle. Squeeze the clutch lever 3 to 5 times and hold against the grip. Crack open the bleed bolt and then close the bleed bolt. Anytime the bleed bolt is opened, you must have the lever held against the bars or air will be sucked back into the system. Repeat this process until no air bubbles can be seen in the bleed tube and the lever feels normal. Rekluse tech tip. Keep an eye on the fluid level in the reservoir, ensuring it remains at least halfway full. If it gets too low, you can reintroduce air into the line and you'll be trying to bleed the clutch all day. Reattach the reservoir cap and bladder. Remove the bleed tube and catch bottle. Reattach the dust cap. We can now move on to setting the install gap. Using the long end of a 4mm Allen wrench, turn the adjuster screw clockwise until you notice a sudden increase in turning effort and make note of where the notch lies. This is known as the starting point. From the starting point, continue turning the adjuster screw further clockwise 1 full turn plus 5 tick marks. Note here, this is not an end-all be-all setting and can vary depending on several factors. It is meant to get you in the general ballpark and ultimately will depend on where your free play gain measurement is. We're now ready to verify our install gap setting by checking that free play gain. There are 2 methods to checking free play gain. One, you can use the supplied rubber band, or you can use your index finger to apply pressure on the clutch lever. Either method will work, and when you understand what it is you're feeling for, you shouldn't need the rubber band anymore. With the motor warmed up and transmission in neutral, quickly blip the throttle to about half throttle. Ideally, the lever will quickly move in towards you 1/8 of an inch. Before making another blip of the throttle, always allow the engine to reach idle. So let's say you have too much free play gain. This is adjusted by going clockwise on the adjustable slave cylinder, which creates less free play gain. On the flip side, if you don't have any free play gain, you must turn your adjuster screw counterclockwise until 1/8 inch of lever movement is detected. 1/8 inch is a critical measurement that ensures you get the best life and performance from your Rekluse Core EXP auto clutch. Do not ride without correct free play gain. Now that our free play gain is set, we can begin the final phase, break-in. We will start with rev cycles. With your hand off the clutch lever, rev the motor 10 times, being sure to let it return to idle between each rev. Now pull the clutch lever in and click down into first. Slowly release the lever. The bike should remain motionless and running. Now, without touching the clutch lever, slowly roll on the throttle and accelerate to about 5,000 RPMs and come to a complete stop. Repeat this 5 times. Now, starting in second gear, repeat these roll-on takeoffs another 5 times. Re-verify that you still have 1/8 inch of free play gain. If you do, you're ready to enjoy a better ride.